All right, time for the Week 14 picks. Let's see if we can't make a little money this weekend. 4 games I'm on. Get right to it. Want to start in St. Louis, where the Minnesota Vikings visit the St. Louis Rams in a big game for both teams. I mean, the winner of this game is still going to be very much alive in the NFC playoff race. St. Louis installed as a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ, and I do like the home team here. I do like the St. Louis Rams. Danny Amendola coming back for this game. Rams slot wide receiver, Sam Bradford's favorite target. He makes a big difference in this offense. But the primary reason I like St. Louis here is because of Minnesota, specifically the quarterback position. Christian Ponder has been playing some really bad football. Outside of the mess in Arizona, the Vikings are probably as bad at the quarterback position right now as any team in the NFL, and that includes the New York Jets. Ponder 91 yards and an interception in a victory last week. And this week he goes up against that St. Louis Rams secondary, one of the best in the NFL. I think Cortland Finnegan and young Janoris Jenkins might be the best cornerback tandem in the NFL right now, especially while Brandon Brown are still out in Seattle. And even though Adrian Peterson's been playing really well, I know the Vikings are going to ride Peterson in this game, and I do expect him to have another 100-yard game. I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough to go into St. Louis and win. The Rams have been excellent at home this year. They've won 4 times outright as home underdogs. They're not an underdog here, but they are a very short favorite, a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ. And by the way, if you're going to bet the Rams, BETDAQ is a great place to do it because this number is sitting right around St. Louis -3 all over Vegas. So 1 is an excellent value, and I do like the St. Louis Rams -1. Next game I want to talk about, an AFC South game, the Indianapolis Colts going on the road to face the Houston Texans. Houston installed as a 9.5-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. Houston, of course, coming off that 42-14 humiliation at the hands of the New England Patriots. And to be honest with you, when I first saw this line, I thought it was too many points. I said, well, the Colts, the way they've been playing this year, they've come from behind already, from 12 points or more behind, and won 3 times. And the Colts, they sort of keep fighting. We remember that Green Bay game where they were down 21-3 at half, ended up coming back and winning that game. Andrew Luck has already shown the ability to bring a team from behind. And so when I first saw this line, like I said, I thought, oh, that might be a lot of points. But this is one of those that over the course of the week, I felt better and better about the Houston Texans. Listen, Indianapolis has been blown out this year. 3 out of their 4 losses have been by 20 points or more. The Texans have the best record in the NFL. They were just humiliated last week, as we said. Coming home this week against a bad defense. Boy, I think this is a great spot for Houston to really blow out the Indianapolis Colts. And even though Andrew Luck has been great this year, no doubt about it, the Colts are one-dimensional on offense. They pass first, pass second, pass third, especially now that Donald Brown is down with an injury. And the Houston secondary has been much maligned over the last month. They've struggled. I just think that they're going to want to step up and sort of show people they're not quite as bad as a lot of people are thinking they are now. I think Houston sort of limits this Indianapolis offense. Andrew Luck, even though he has been great, he does turn it over a couple of times a game like many rookie quarterbacks. Wouldn't be surprised if he threw a couple to the other team in this game. And I think Houston probably is going to win this one in a rout. I do like the Texans -9.5. Next game I want to talk about in Baltimore, the Denver Broncos visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Denver installed as a 3-point favorite on BETDAQ here. And I'm rolling with the Broncos. I mean, I've seen enough as far as this Denver team goes. They've won 8 straight games. All 8 of those wins have been by 7 points or more. I know Baltimore had won 15 straight home games before losing their last home game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this isn't the same Baltimore team. This team is, the arrow is pointing down on this team. Injuries on the defense have been well documented. This defense not in the top 20 in the NFL right now. And the offense, they haven't been too good these last few weeks either. Now, they did just make a shakeup. They fired offensive coordinator Cam Cameron and promoted Jim Caldwell, former Indianapolis Colts coach, to the offensive coordinator position. Caldwell has never called plays in the NFL, so that adds a little bit of an element of unpredictability to this game. But Denver's been so good on defense. I mean, their defense has been playing just as well as their offense this year. Top 5 in the NFL in both total offense and total defense. The only things that concern me here, and I guess, if you're gonna back Baltimore here, you probably think, I'm not saying it's the main crux of your argument, but it sort of feels like Denver's due to lose. I mean, they've won 8 straight games, we said, and Baltimore's been so good at home. It feels like a spot where Baltimore, I guess, should win, but it doesn't really make any sense. That's not good enough for me. The Denver Broncos have been excellent these last couple of months, and Peyton Manning is a type. I mean, he knows the meaning of this game. This is a huge game for Denver. They're still trying for a bye in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot still out there for Denver. Right now, if the season ended today, they would not get that bye. those byes would go to Houston and New England. And remember, both Houston and New England have beaten Denver this year, so the Broncos are going to have to finish with a better record than one of those teams. So it's a big game for them. Peyton Manning's won 8 straight against Baltimore, and most of those games have been against those great Baltimore defenses. The Baltimore defense, it's really toothless this year, and I think Manning is going to carve them up. I like the Denver Broncos defense also, as we said, top 5 in the league in total defense. And even though it's a popular public bet out in Vegas, which scares me, you never like rolling with the public because, in sports betting, you just never like to follow the crowd. The public is usually wrong. Not always, obviously, but a lot of times when you see these games where 80+% of the money is backing one side, it's a good idea to back the other side. However, the public betting argument, the argument that Baltimore is due, none of it is good enough for me. I like the Denver Broncos -3. I am riding this team right now. They look like the best team in the NFL to me, even though I know they already have lost to Houston and New England. Final game I want to talk about, final game I'm on this Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks going on the road to face the Buffalo Bills. They're not going to Buffalo. They're actually going to Toronto, this game being played in a neutral site. It does count as a Buffalo home game, though. Seattle's a 5.5-point favorite on BETDAQ, and I like the Bills here. I like the underdog. I'm very impressed with Seattle. I've come fully around on this team. They have a great defense outside of Pittsburgh and San Francisco, probably the best defense in the NFL. Even though there are some injuries and the suspension of Brandon Browner going on in the secondary right now, the Seattle secondary not at full strength. I like Buffalo here, as I said. Seattle's not nearly the same team away from home as they are in Seattle. They're the best home team in the NFL, undefeated at home this year, and they've covered every single home game. Only 2-5 on the road, and Buffalo's been playing pretty well this last month. They've won a couple of games. The games they haven't won have been very close and competitive. Seattle's 2 road wins this year. They beat the Carolina Panthers by 4, and they won in overtime a couple of weeks ago against the Chicago Bears. So Seattle this season has either lost on the road, which they've done 5 times, or it's been really, really close. And I feel like the number's a little too big here. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact Seattle just beat Arizona 58-0 last week. So the public opinion of the Seattle Seahawks has never been higher than it is right now. And so I think it's a good sell high time with Seattle. Seattle will probably win the game, I think, but it's going to be close. I do like Buffalo plus 5.5. So there you have it. Those are my 4 games. I am on St. Louis -1, Houston -9.5, Denver -3, and Buffalo plus 5.5. And by the way, I'd like to mention, even though it's not one of my games because there's not a market yet up on BETDAQ, and that's why we haven't previewed the game, and it's understandable there's not a market up. We still haven't heard final word on Robert Griffin III's status, but I do believe the Cleveland Browns are going to beat the Washington Redskins with or without Robert Griffin. Cleveland has been playing some great football lately. And Washington, if Griffin plays, he's going to be a little hobbled with that knee. Washington has a bad defense. I like the Cleveland Browns at home to beat the Redskins, but I'm not making that one of my official games because, like I said, we do not have a line up yet on BETDAQ, and who knows, we might not have a line up on that game until just an hour or 2 before kickoff. So my 4 games: St. Louis, Houston, Denver, Buffalo. I wish you best of luck tomorrow in whatever you decide to do, just so long as your interests don't conflict with my interests.